time All-Star, widely regarded as one of, if not the best baseball player of all time. Brew, how will you remember Willie Mays?
Well, I was 5 years old when he retired in '73, so I didn't see him in, obviously, much other than film. But he was my father's favorite player, and my father thought he was the best player ever. So that was like, he was seared into my conscience. I had like a little Willie Mays baseball card that, you know, is all in tatters now after we used to play baseball with it. But I'll just remember him as that. And in studying him and even talking to my dad about him, the thing about Willie Mays, I mean, he did everything. He was a Gold Glove center fielder. He hit with power. He had 2 years of 50 or more home runs. Hit for average, hit over 300 for his career. Led the league in stolen bases 4 or 5 years. I mean, he did every single thing at the ultimate high level. And so I'll remember him as arguably the greatest baseball player ever. And remember, he played a lot in Candlestick, which is hard to hit home runs, and he still ended up with 660. And he may have hit 700 or more if he played
also
up
lost
else.
almost 2 full seasons fighting in a war, and the season when he came back, he hit 41 home runs, and he still finished with 660. I think the case for Willie Mays as the greatest baseball player of all time is the cleanest case you can make for any player. Sorry, I actually
think
have
that's
something
fair.
in my eye. As far if you like the WAR stat, he's third all time for position players behind Ruth and Bonds. There's obviously weird cloud with Bonds. You add to it, no outfielder has more Gold Gloves than Willie Mays. Only Roberto Clemente has as many. I mentioned that. He had a season plus of, the beginning of his prime taken from him. Brew, you mentioned the baseball card. I tweeted it out today. The only real piece of non-Royals baseball memorabilia I have, and I've had it since I was 8, is a picture of the catch with a box that has a signed, not the baseball from it, but a signed Willie Mays baseball. And when people hear these things, he was great for 20 consecutive seasons.
Right.
So we can show you his numbers as a 20-year-old, his numbers as a 30-year-old, in his 30s, I should say, and then read that bottom line. At 40, led the NL in walks and on-base percentage, and that was the only time he struck out. The only year of his career he struck out more than 100 times. He led the league in walks that year. And so I think he is, when you combine offense, defense, and the fact that there is no, but it wasn't an integrated league. Well, but it was the steroid era. And so there's no qualifier on Willie Mays. And as a sports fan, Walton West and Willie in 2 weeks is really, really unbelievable and hard to deal with.
But you know what? And 93 and you died peacefully.
Yeah. There's one thing I wanted to add, because there's so many statistics that just are mind-blowing. And the great thing about baseball is that's harder to do in basketball and football. It's like, well, different era with that. Could Fran Tarkenton play today? And you're not quite sure. But Willie Mays could step in today and play. But like you were saying that your dad was your dad's favorite player, there was something special and magical about the way he played with such charisma and showmanship. And I thought this quote was interesting. It's a quote he gave to NPR in 2010. "I made the clubhouse guy fit me with a cap that when I ran, it flies right off." He made it extra small. You also have to tilt your head a little bit because you got to get the wind in there. People love that type of stuff, So he was selling sort of the sizzle with the steak and making baseball fun to watch and bringing his whole personality there. And that's what made him say, "Hey, kid."
And you said it 2 weeks ago when we were talking about, but I think it warrants mentioning. When you look at Willie Mays' stats today, there's 8 more hits than there was 2 weeks ago because he played in the Negro Leagues. And, that is our living, I apologize for that turn of phrase. It is our living history, even though Willie has passed, and it's an important part of it, and it's unbelievable. That was a great story.
Willie Mays was 93. We'll be right back. We're going to start with Tatum's legacy. With Larry O'Brien in hand, the Celtics are going to hand-deliver $315 million 5-year extension to Jason Tatum. Tatum was first-team All-NBA, but didn't shoot particularly well in the finals, which oddly didn't matter, ? Brew, does Tatum have anything more to prove?
First of all, he's getting the money and he deserves the money. We all agree on that, right? I mean, this is what it is. He should get that. Okay, so
yeah, I mean, I think that this
question he should get this.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the biggest contract ever temporarily.
Right.
Like there are going to be other.
Browns was the
Jalen Browns was the biggest.
Right.
This is a player getting his third deal at his level of all NBAs.
26.
Right. This is what they get.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I don't think there's any smart debate about whether or not you max out Jason
You
Tatum.
got a championship.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
yeah. But, yes, he does have something to prove, which is that he can play his best in the NBA Finals. That's what he's got to prove. Now, I don't equate that with he has to win a Finals MVP, but obviously if he plays his best, there's a good chance he would get that. I do think the general public will be waiting, assuming they win again, waiting for him to be the MVP. Like if they get back to the Finals next year, the year after, whenever, the storyline or one of the storylines, like it was with Steph, will be, well, it might depend on who's in it. Like, is he facing Luka?
Sure.
If it's Luka, I think it'll be bigger. Can Luka finally get one or whatever? But that'll be a big storyline. Will he be the Finals MVP? So, yeah, he's got that to prove. I'm sure personally he also should be shooting for an MVP, not at the demise of the team, but, yeah, if you're a player that great, you would like to get an MVP
Is that on the board?
Yeah, it's on the board. Because next year I think Jokic – it's going to be hard for Jokic to get his fourth in 5 years.
Okay.
All right, especially coming off a second-round exit. Giannis will be there.
Luka will be there.
Luka will be there. But Luka, I think, took a little bit of a hit. I don't think he starts with any type of head start. I think he took a little bit of a hit this postseason. A lot of people
hit this postseason?
This finals. A lot of people. I think he played well. But I think people were disappointed in him in the finals.
I think that.
And so I think he will start even with SGA, and I think Tatum will be there. Like if they have the best record in the league next year, and he is clearly their best player, first team All NBA, I think he's got a very good shot at getting the MVP.
That's what happened this year.
Yeah, but if it happens again, coming off a championship, I think he's got a good shot.
So listen. This is a question.
You don't think he has a shot at MVP?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I don't think those qualifiers necessarily will do him more favors than they did him this year. I think it's going to have to be something different. But I think it's, what is he trying to be? So like professionally, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to use you as an example, Wilds, if I may. Does Kevin Wilds have anything more to prove? Well, what are you trying to prove? So here's what I mean. This is not a shot. I'm using you complimentarily.
I'm getting my defense.
No, don't get your defenses up.
Like it.
If your goal was to show the world I can be one of the best sports talk hosts, moderators, personalities, then no, you have nothing to prove.
Well,
I think you already have done that.
I disagree with that.
Okay, just play along with me for a moment,
but that's
please.
not even
You know what, though?
Gosh darn it.
Inside,
Nick,
I don't think he disagrees.
Can I just finish the
Inside,
point?
I think he agrees with you.
If your goal was,
But you
I
gotta be the
one
gentleman,
day
I get
am
it.
going to be on the same iconography as my idol, David Letterman, then you got a lot more to prove.
Yeah.
So here's my point with Tatum. What's Tatum's goal? If Tatum's goal is be the best Celtic since Larry Bird, he's probably on pace.
He's got a shot.
I think he and Paul Pierce.
He didn't have a big three.
Right, and Paul Pierce never made first team All NBA. I feel like at his peak, Pierce was better than Tatum, but I think Tatum right now is trending towards
Pierce was
being
more clutch.
Right. But I think Tatum is
better.
trending towards being the best Celtic of the last 30 years. Like best career of a Celtic of the last since Larry Bird. If that's the goal and that's where it ends, he's already a champion, then no. If the goal is be a perennial real MVP candidate, crack that top 3 player in the world conversation legitimately, then yes, he has a lot more to prove.
I think I know what his goal is.
What's that?
To be the best player in the league.
Okay, well then
I think that's his goal.
Then he has,
I don't think he is, but I think that's his goal.
Then he has miles more to prove. That's kind of my point. Like right now, he is on the trajectory of I think Paul Pierce is a fair one. Like a consistently excellent
He's ahead
player.
of Pierce, though.
Who? Okay, sure.
In that Pierce had a long run where they weren't very good. Pierce was great.
They made a
but the
conference
team
finals
wasn't
early,
good.
but then they fell
remember
off.
In the after they got rid of Antoine Walker,
So
they had a stretch
So
of
then
bad.
maybe a
He's
slightly
always been
different
winning.
version because now he has a ring, Clyde Drexler trajectory, something like that. That tier of player. That is where he's
he's
at.
about that tier.
Right, Clyde
Clyde.
Drexler. So if he wants to be in that next tier,